Welcome to Parents Make a Difference, and I'm your host, Josie PV. Today's guest, I had the pleasure of seeing him at a conference, and I really had some aha moments. So I'm hoping that you stay tuned and listen to all his wisdom and some of his expertise. Today we have Scott Simons, who is a wellness enthusiast, joining us. Welcome to Parents Make a Difference, Scott.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's an honor to be here.
Honor to have you. Honor to have you. You are the co-founder of a club called the Be Human Club, correct?
Yes, that's why I have my T-shirt "Be Human" on. You can only see the B, but it's "Be Human."
Terrific. I I really enjoyed your speech at the conference, and it really made me think of how to be more in the moment and try to calm ourselves. You really gave us some interesting things to think about on how our behavior really impacts when we're around people. And so as parents, we've got so much going on in our life, and it's sometimes being present for our kids is difficult. And I'm the first one to tell you, I've got to bring myself back. 5 kids later, I need to bring myself back. I need to be with intention, trying to feel I'm more present for them instead of my mind wandering on what I need to do or what happened or this or that, but to be present in the moment. Um, so I'm excited to hear some of your suggestions on how us parents could be more present in the moment.
Mm. It's truly the best gift. We're talking about parents. Really, any human being can give to somebody else is their presence. And it starts with being present with yourself. If you're not present with yourself, it's impossible to offer that presence to somebody else. And what's beautiful is that one conscious breath brings you into the power of now, into your power. If you're in the past or the future, any form of judgment, any story that's making you feel inferior or superior, you're no longer in your power. You're in the 40 to 60,000 thoughts a day that are bringing you anywhere else than in the now, and your power is found in the now. And one conscious breath, which is beautiful, out of the 20,000 breaths we take per day. So you have 20,000 opportunities per day to practice coming back to the now. And one conscious breath brings you back there. So if you're with any other human beings, or if it's family or your kids, and you feel you've gone into some form of reaction, sensations are coming up, heavier emotions are coming up, anger, fear, whatever it is, you've lost your power. So with one conscious breath, breath management is brain management, it's nervous system management. So with that one conscious breath, you're pretty much managing all the systems in your body, coming back to the now, coming back to your potential, and responding to life instead of reacting to it. And that response is where we have responsibility and where we find the ability to respond to what's going on around us from a much more conscious and loving and compassionate way. And I don't know about you, looking at the planet at the moment, I see individuals, I see the collective that's in deep, deep, deep reaction. It's very primal, it's very primitive. It's I'm right, you're wrong, blue against red, this and that. The wars that are going on simply because we're not responding to life, we're reacting to it. So coming back to the family, if parents and even the children as well too, if we can teach them this beautiful skill and how to respond to life instead of reacting to it, you start to create a life that's much more proactive, much more heart driven than mind driven. And what a beautiful tool to give to parents and to children as well, as young as possible.
You had done an experiment at this conference that I attended with my husband, and he actually was the volunteer. He came up, and it really gave me an aha on how breath can help us with stress, right? And so I always was a believer that breath can help, and I even did a little a little video for kids. But when I saw it the way you showed it to us, it was like, oh my goodness, it helps more than I even think it can. Can you share a little bit of what you kind
Mm,
of did, what device you used? You used an actual, it was scientifically seen, in my opinion, right? Because you were
yeah, yeah.
using devices to track the body.
I've been doing corporate wellness since 2006, so we need to speak the corporate language, which is quantify, science, numbers. So there's this beautiful tool, simple tool that I put on somebody's earlobe, which is a biofeedback tool which takes your heart rate and your heart rate variability. Heart rate HRV is the new or one of the new indicators of longevity. It's on all these new Apple watches and any biofeedback tool. So we can show on the screen what your heartbeat is like, and then we can also see what's going kind of on in between the heartbeats. How is your nervous system responding or reacting to the outside world? So I always get somebody to come on stage, a volunteer, of course. I put it on their ear, and then we can see the heart rate and we can see the heartbeat and we can see the kind of the chaos on the screen of what's going on inside that person's body, because first of all they're on stage, they're in front of 100, 200, 300 people. So of course there's chaos going on, which is good inside the body. The body is chaotic, it's responding to everything that's going on around it. And then I ask very simple questions to this person. 17 plus 34, and simple questions, but a bit difficult math to do in front of 200, 300 people. And instantly you can see that the heart rate variability goes off the charts, the stress goes flying up, because this person is breathing now in a much more stressful way, in a much more panic way, because it's in front of people. Because breath management and breathing is how all the systems in the body communicate, this person, like your husband, came up, held onto his breath or her breath, let's say whoever's coming up, and sends a signal to all the systems in the body that there is some form of threat, outside threat. So you go into fight, flight, freeze. You go back into those primal circuits in the brain that for thousands of years protected us from any form of threat. Because there were threats for thousands of years. Now we're so deeply in our comfort zones that these primal circuits we don't need them as much. But here you are on stage with somebody asking 17 plus 34. Their breath changes. They hold on to the breath, send a panic signal to all the systems in the body. All the blood goes to the extremities so they can fight or flight. Less blood in the vital organs, disconnected from the memory, and they're disconnected from their potential. And this is simply with a question 17 plus 34. So you can only imagine parents when it's the kids are crying, the to-do list, the emails, everything that's coming at you, and your breath, you're not managing your breath as well. You're constantly in fight or flight. And that's why we're seeing kind of this pandemic around the world of dis-ease, fatigue, stress, anxiety, obesity. It's really because, and this really simplifies it, however, I truly feel it's because people have forgotten the power of breath management. And then what we do with this same person that's in this kind of chaotic phase, because I'm asking them questions in front of 200 people, I get them to go into a very, very simple breathing technique called heart coherence. There's so many breathing techniques. Heart coherence is probably one of the most powerful, scientifically proven as well, where you inhale for 5 seconds and you exhale for 5 seconds. And within a minute or so, and I always get somebody who doesn't have a practice and maybe had coffees before, and somebody who's kind of in performance and stress and has a lot going on in their life, and you can see pretty much instantly that by managing the breath, this person is bringing their heart, mind, body into a coherent state where all the systems in the body are now communicating, and this person is tapping back into their potential, and they're responding to everything that's going around them with the full potential of the body instead of the primal circuits in the brain.
Mhm.
And those primal circuits, all they want to do is fight and flight. So you're going to fight with your kid, or you're going to run away, you're going to fight with your husband or whatever it is, because that's what these circuits were meant to do. And now in 2025, unfortunately, they're still responding as if a lion is running after us when we hold our breath, when really it's just an email coming in from your boss or whatever it is. So it demonstrates very, very well the power of a conscious breath. And what's beautiful is that this beautiful friendship between the heart and the diaphragm. So we breathe 20,000 times a day, and the heart is pretty much the diaphragm's best friend. It rests on the diaphragm. So we demonstrate on the screen when your breath is incoherent, the 20,000 breaths that guide the 100,000 heartbeats. If there's an incoherency in your breath, there will be an incoherency in the heartbeats as well too. So the more you practice conscious breathing and you create this beautiful friendship between the heart and the diaphragm, instead of the mind, the primal circuits in the mind running your life and reacting to life, you start to practice more responding to life, where the heart and the wisdom of the heart and the diaphragm start to run your life, and you have a much more responsive and proactive life. So we show it on the screen, and even the people that are like, okay, I don't believe in the power of the breath, they see it. They kind of tap out and they say, I surrender. You're
Yeah.
proving it scientifically.
That's what I was able to see. So that, I mean, when, first of all, the question was not just two numbers. You put lots of numbers there to make sure that, because my husband's very good with numbers, so you gave him some extra whole bunch of numbers to make sure that he did get stressed, right? Because, like, oh my goodness,
Sure.
I better come up with the right number here in front of all these people. But so you're seeing his what is it, his heart, or is it his, what is it that we're seeing that's
Yeah, the heart rate the variability of his heart rate is just going, it's
all
super
over the
K.
place, right? No systematic in any sort until you do the
Yeah,
breathing. And then when you do the breathing, it starts to just go up, down, like up, down, in the same levels. And it's like, oh my goodness, he's bringing himself back just by the breathing. And I was able to see that. And I thought that was so interesting. Can you share? You were saying, explain a little bit more about what the strategy is then, because in reality, you had said, when you enter a room, whatever you're feeling goes on to the people around. So if you're already feeling stressed, people are feeling some sort of vibe. You're just not right there present. And I mean, we do that as parents when we come home and we've got all these things, and it's so easy to get agitated. And it's like, you might get upset at something, you're thinking, why did they get upset at that? That's not even something that's worth their time to get upset over. But it's everything that's going on in their body, right? And so what was the strategy then? You said it's breathing. Can you explain the strategy, and maybe
yeah,
we can practice it together?
totally. So it's a super simple practice. It's the numbers are 365. So 3 times a day, 6 breaths per minute for 5 minutes. So that maybe that might sound like already a lot for people. So let's say 5 minutes. The 6 breaths is you're inhaling five, you're exhaling five. That takes 10 seconds. So in 1 minute, you're breathing 6 times. So
Okay.
you're inhaling five, exhaling five. So over 5 minutes, you're doing 30 cycles of inhaling five, exhaling five. But you don't even need to really think about this. There are beautiful apps now that have little sounds like ding, ding. So you just inhale for 5 seconds, ding, you exhale for 5 seconds. And after about 3 minutes, they've realized it brings you into a frequency of zero point 0.1 hertz, which this is the scientifically proven frequency where all the systems in the body start to collaborate and co-create, and your body can now tap into the sophistication and the wisdom and the intelligence of the body, instead of being stuck, as I said, in these primal circuits that are much more reactive and primitive. So what's beautiful is that that dance starts to settle in, as I mentioned, between the beautiful friendship between the heart and the diaphragm. As of about 3 minutes, you can go up to 5 minutes, and then beyond 5 minutes, according to science, you don't really need to go beyond 5 minutes, because once you're in a coherent state, you're in a coherent state. And what's beautiful is the more you practice,
Hmm.
once again, proven scientifically, you have the benefits for up to 4 to 6 hours. So that's why they say 3 times a day. As soon as possible, when you wake up in the morning, do 5 minutes. So instead of reacting to your day, often we get up and we're reacting to life coming at us
Hmm. Hmm.
instead of responding to it. You do those 5 minutes as early on as possible, and you become like a Jedi, you become like a Yoda, a sensei, a ninja of your nervous system, where everything that's coming at you is like, it's not sticking to you, it's not affecting you, because you're rooted down in your wisdom instead of reaction. Then 4 to 6 hours later, just before lunch, 46 hours later, at the end of your working day, if possible. And now you've done 3 times 5 minutes, which is 15 minutes, which is 1% of your day. A lot
Hmm.
of people find 15 minutes a lot. But that's 1% of your day to manage your brain and nervous system. What's also beautiful is that after these 5 minutes, you've tapped into the inner pharmacist, is what I call it. You're actually changing the chemistry in the body. And of course, cortisol will go down, the stress hormone, adrenaline will go down, your heart rate variability will start to balance out. What's also beautiful is that oxytocin will start to be secreted naturally. That's the love and joy hormone. Like when you give a hug to someone or you're around people you love, oxytocin is being secreted. So now that's happening for up to 4 to 6 hours. Serotonin, which is the natural antidepressor, and dopamine, which is motivation. So all these are being secreted naturally. DHEA as well too, which is a hormone that actually keeps you younger. You won't be younger next year, but uh, you won't be getting older as fast. Let's say, which is beautiful. Everybody, l'hormone de jouvence is what they say in French, like the young hormone or whatever, the youth hormone. So these are all secreted. You don't. That's 5 minutes. Imagine if anything in your life at the moment, and you get all these stats. You're like, all you have to do is 5 minutes of this. I mean, I don't understand why they're not teaching this in schools, to parents, to kids, to teachers, and why they're not starting every single class with 3 minutes. And then you get the whole entire class in a coherency. And as you mentioned, and I'll let you speak after this, is if you enter into a room and you're in a coherent state and people are incoherent, like kids running all over the place, there's a very good chance you'll start to impact and influence these people in a coherent way compared to incoherent. And we've all felt it before. Somebody walks into a room and they're stressed or whatever, and it just changes the energy. If somebody's walking in like a ninja, like a sensei, like a Jedi of their nervous system, you can feel that. You can feel their presence, and it can affect animals. It can affect anything with a heart, pretty much. So if the parents are practicing heart coherence, they will be impacting and influencing their kids. If the whole entire family practices it together, and I've coached people through it, at the beginning, kids don't like it, they find it too long. Once they start to taste coherency, because health is not a belief, health is an experience. Once you experience coherency, they also, of course, will experience incoherency. And they're going to say, wow, incoherency does not taste good, daddy or mummy. I like coherency. Let's keep practicing that. And what a gift that, imagine a little Jedi when they're 4 years old, they're learning to be a Jedi, and not when they're 35. Let's create little Jedis out there through conscious breathing.
I tried to do the breathing when kids were all upset. It's like they're screaming, "Ah, I want this," and it's like, okay, let's just breathe in. Smell the flower, blow out the candle, smell the flower, and it was amazing how at times they would start doing that, and they would just calm down. Now, some later would say, "No, I don't want to," but because we needed to practice more of that when they were calm, so that it would come more, natural to them when they were really upset. But I was amazed from screaming to calm at times, using just breathing in and out, not doing it for 5 seconds. So, I mean, wow. I mean, really, parents are busy. So you've given a suggestion that it doesn't matter how busy we are. This is something that can be done, and it's something worthy of our time to be done with intention. Now, hey, we all want to stay younger. So there's you gave us one
Yeah,
motivation right there.
exactly.
But
And they
that
can
is
start with 3 minutes. As I mentioned, the coherency kicks in around 3 minutes.
three
So if
minutes.
you don't have time, and it's the Gandhi quote that says, "I have so much to do today. I'll meditate for an extra hour." Sometimes it's when you feel you don't have time is when you should be taking the time. I don't like shoulding people, saying should, would, could, or so start in the morning. Really, the foundation of your day should be a
Morning.
responsive instead of reactive, and start simply with 3 minutes. And I can share apps or go onto your app, whatever, Google, Android, whatever, or iPhone, and just put heart coherence, and you'll find there are all kinds of apps. Like
Okay.
there's no reason why you shouldn't be practicing this unless, I don't know, you're your nose is blocked or something like that. There's no excuse, there's no friction, there's no story that should get in the way of you practicing.
Is it all through your nose? Not through your mouth, right? It was all through your nose, in and out through your nose.
Yeah, that's a great question. The caricature is kind of, breathing through your mouth is kind of like eating through your nose. It's kind of,
Mhm.
it's weird breathing through your mouth. It's a,
Okay.
you can, of course, it's cardiovascular, but if you're just in a resting state and you're breathing through your mouth, it's very primitive. It's not a it's the nose was really made to breathe 20% more oxygen, more CO2 as well. So CO2 is what releases the oxygen into your brain and into the muscles. Nitric oxide, which is a vasodilator, so it opens up the veins, so more blood flow, which is more wisdom and intelligence and healing and stuff. So you want the blood to be flowing.
Mhm.
More humidity. There are at least 25 benefits. If somebody's not
It all
convinced,
nose, yeah.
read the book Breath by James Nestor. Wonderful, wonderful book on breathing, but especially the power of nose breathing. It's the number one book. If you're not convinced after that, then I don't know what to do. But
Well,
definitely breathing through the nose.
I'm gonna
If
do that. Yeah.
you have to choose,
I
definitely
saw it.
start through the
I
nose.
saw it
Yeah,
on your device. So I mean, I saw how it changed. It changed.
exactly.
So it was like, oh my goodness, it's changing the way the person feels and the way that you can see it with the rhythm. And so I'll do through the nose. Um, Now, this is something we can do even. Okay, you recommend 3 times a day for sure in the morning to start your day. But also, we're coming home, we're in the car, we're just about to get into the house. This is a great strategy. It could be at any time, right? You could just walk away and know that you've got a lot of stress and things are getting on your nerves so quickly that you need to ground yourself again and just relax your body, so you could just walk out of a room, go to the washroom, do it, whatever. So it can happen anytime, anywhere, right?
Anytime, anywhere, especially with transitions, as you mentioned, transitioning from a work day. You don't want to bring that into your second shift or third shift or whatever they call it when you're heading into your kids. So any transition, a beautiful time to do the practice. And sometimes you don't even need an app. You can just do, if you're practicing many times, it's about 5 seconds. It can be 4.5 seconds, 5.5 seconds. So you can just do a few rounds on your own and you'll get back into coherency really, really quickly. And just think of the gift you're offering anybody around you, let's say your children, of your presence instead of being reactive, being proactive. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, take the time. You can even do it in front of them. You can, while they're going crazy or whatever it is, or as you're making the food, just inhale 5, exhale 5. So really the first step is the awareness. That's the big discipline. The awareness, like, oops, I'm incoherent. I've lost mastery over my emotions at the moment. Something's coming up. And then you need to match that awareness with some form of practice or discipline. If awareness without practice, you've just lost all the awareness. So you become aware, okay, something's coming up. Breathe, come back to the breath, come back to the now, come back to my Jedi power, come back to my human evolved brain, the executive functioning, and then from there respond. But the first step is really that awareness, because often we can become aware, oh my god, and we keep on doing it, we just keep on getting mad, or we keep on reacting, and now we're consciously reacting, which is
Mm-hmm.
not a fun state to be in.
And it really does affect kids when we're reacting, and they go through so much of their own emotions because of what we're going through, and we don't mean to. We're human. We don't always make the right choices, in the sense that we get upset and sometimes we react on them when we shouldn't. I mean, hey, I think we've all done it personally, I would think.
For
um,
sure.
but it definitely does affect them. And if we can sometimes, there's signs that we're burning out, and you know, and we need to look at ways that we can bring ourselves back to be present, to relax ourselves. There's so much talk about depression, and so much talk about you know or being depressed, and going through things, and so we need to fight for our family by fighting for ourselves, to be present, to take care of ourselves so that we can take care of them. And this is one way. Um, uh, so how would you teach a child to do this, in your opinion? Is it just the way you're teaching us, or do you have any strategies, or this is your recommendation, that the
Coming
way you
back to
taught us?
the breath, health is not a belief, it's an experience. They need to experience the coherency. It's, if you try to explain it to them, sympathetic nervous system, parasympathetic, and all that stuff, it might fly way over their heads. However, if they feel what it's like to practice and what it feels like after 3 minutes, how they felt before and after, I've often had parents that the kids are now asking, as I mentioned earlier, they're asking to do the practice because they want to do it. They see the effect on the family, they see effect on themselves, on the cat, on the dog, and everybody that's coherent. They feel, wow, it's so much better when our family's coherent than incoherent. So at the beginning, it's it might be difficult just to sit them down and do 3 minutes. However, it's a practice that I feel quite quickly the kids will start to want to do it, and it becomes a family practice. Like, what are, I call them the MVPs, the minimal viable practice. What's our family's minimal viable practice that we can do every single day together? So there are 1,440 minutes in a day. Let's say we do a 3 minute practice, which is point, I don't know what, 0.3% of your day or something like that, that we're practicing together before eating or before going to school in the morning or whatever it is. We choose that time, and we choose, this is the minimal viable practice that we can do as a family together to contribute and feed our coherency, feed our health collectively as a family. And I feel the best place to start would be heart coherence, and the other place that I do is as beautifully as possible any practice that gets you back into the body, especially if you're stuck in the mind, as you were talking about earlier. You're reactive, this and that. It's great to breathe, and then something like 10 jumping jacks. Kids love doing jumping jacks. Will completely change the chemistry in the body once again. One of the priorities of your brain is to move the body, and we're sitting down way too much. So if, let's say, there's too much energy going on and it's too hard to get them to sit down, do 10 jumping jacks together or 10 squats or whatever it is. Find MVPs, minimal viable practices, that you can fit into the day that take from 30 seconds to 3 minutes, let's say, and you start to create this kind of collage, of practices, minimal viable practices that will create a beautiful momentum of health and wellness in your family. So yeah, that would be the way that I'd introduce it to kids, is with MVPs, and then eventually they'll get into more breathing, more moving. They'll want to do yoga. They'll get addicted to health, which is a positive addiction, which will lead to their independence and then interdependence. And now your kids are interdependent with you instead of being dependent on you. You're teaching them through the breath, because the breath leads to independence. You're teaching the most beautiful skills, and you're teaching them through movement how to tap back into the body really quickly when they're stuck in the mind and stuck in some form of emotion. Whenever I'm stuck in my mind, it's like, oh, get back to the body fast. And as I mentioned, it can be super simple. It can take 30 seconds to a minute to do that.
What got you excited to do this and to try to help people to work towards wellness?
So I was lucky enough to, at age 19, meet my mentor Steve Sims. I was going through a process at that point. I was in my late teens, and I'd partied a lot, and I'd taken a lot of drugs and alcohol, and then there was stuff going on in my family, and I started to take all these negative substances to forget life and just disconnect from life. And then I was probably in some form of depression, and even basketball, which was my life at that point. I didn't want to play basketball anymore, so I'd lost everything. And I lost all motivation, and I went to a treatment center for drugs and alcohol for kids that had kind of partied too hard. It wasn't a crazy like drug rehab, but kids that were going down the wrong path that had a lot of potential. And we had spent, it was the summer of my 19 to 20, a 19-year-old to 20-year-old. We spent 3 months in the woods. I was with about 20 other young adults, and I remember going into that experience with my fire completely out, And coming out literally 3 months later, because I was in nature, because we were getting this education, because we were reconnecting to our potential, and my fire was blazing, and I knew at that point that my it wasn't as clear as this, but my mission was to remind people and give people authentic experience of health and wellness, to remind people how simple, accessible, and effective health is, so that they can taste health and reclaim mastery over their health, start to be proactive instead of reactive, and start to gently rebuild their lives into healthy lives instead of unhealthy lives, starting with habits like MVPs, minimal viable practices. So that's when I was 20. And Steve, my mentor, was all about service and contribution and yoga and meditation and breathing and the power of superfoods and plant-based nutrition. And I was totally not into that. But the more he gave me an experience of authentic health, the more he taught me about the science behind it. And the more I experienced health, I realized this is the best drug in the world. This is the one I want to invest in the most. And since then, I've been on a beautiful, kind of crazy road less traveled of, building 4 social businesses and teaching yoga since 2009, and over 300 conferences in the workplace and schools and community centers, and starting a school for the Black community, and just really on mission of wherever I can go, inspiring people to practice daily, take responsibility for their health, because I truly feel that if we all rise up individually, we'll rise up collectively. And now I'm looking around at the planet, and I feel it's urgent and important that we take responsibility for our health, our family's health, so we can contribute to the next 7 generations, because we're looking at the next generations, and it's not looking as if they're going to be really, really healthy. There are kids now that are depressed at age 11, and they're on anti-anxiety pills at age 12, and they're burnouts at age 13, and the social media and this and that, and this is, and a planet also, to be honest, that's not super healthy. this is what we're this is what we're leaving behind. And what's beautiful is that can really, really change fast if we all wake up. And I truly feel it starts with, out of those 1,440 minutes in a day, 1%, 2%, 3% of an investment, of you investing in your nervous system, and then families and communities and businesses will rise up and will reclaim higher ground and find solutions that will contribute and be of service, instead of being of service to humanity, not in service to growth and to profit and to, just more archaic systems that were great for many, many years, the industrial system, and now the technology system that, where's the human, and where's the planet, and where are the students, and where are the kids, and where are the parents in the systems that we have at the moment? I don't see it. So we need to create new systems, and that comes from taking responsibility individually. So that's kind of the source, and that's what keeps me in the game 28 years later, because it's not easy to be in health and wellness and promote in dark, archaic systems, and seeing this epidemic of dis-ease on the planet, and you're coming with your little candle and shining shining bright, through my own depressions and my own addictions and this and that, and my own life struggles to stay in the game. You need a passion and a mission and a purpose that transcends your personal needs.
Your experience is what gives you the passion, and so they say, that life is not happening to you before you, but because you went through that. If you didn't, you wouldn't have this passion. And so I'm so thankful that you're sharing all over, that I had gotten to see you at a conference, and that you're sharing with our parents on Parents Make a Difference, because there is so much power in one, right? I've heard it said, if you put 1 grain of salt on ice, little by little it starts to melt. And so that's what you're doing with your life. You're trying to make this place better by sharing, by doing, because I understand you also do master classes, and you do breathing exercises with people on Be Human, at the Be Human Club. But I really, I want to see success for our kids. And I know that success, yes, financially is good. We want financial success, or we want comfort of living. But it's so much more than that if we just focus on that and we forget of being intentional, of being present, of being human, of being compassionate, of looking at the bigger picture. And I love the way you said we want to raise up to have these businesses, but that are helping the next generations to come.
Hmm.
And so thank you for your passion on that and for sharing on Parents Make a Difference, because I know that small things that us parents do will have big impacts on ourselves and our children, more importantly. Sometimes we'll do more for our kids than we'll do for ourselves, but we need to help ourselves so that we can be better for the kids and then pass on some of these strategies we learn on this journey. So thank you so much, Scott. I really enjoyed our time together and listening to you and your sharing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate your time with us.
Thank you so much. It was an honor, as I mentioned. Thank you.
Parents, remember, you make a difference.